Okay, let's see what happens here. There it is. Welcome to this live stream today. We'll just see if anyone comes on. I have no idea if anyone's going to come on today. One thing you'll notice is I do have my glasses on today, and the reason is I forgot to put my contacts in before we went live. So if you haven't seen me, glasses, normally no glasses, but today if we get reflection or anything like that, I apologize for not getting it done properly. So just see if anyone comes on today. Again, if you haven't been on the channel before, make sure to subscribe. This is James Maduke speaking. We've got teachonline.io and trainingsites.io. And the whole gig here is to show people how to create online courses and be able to sell them online, hopefully from their own WordPress-powered site, but it doesn't have to be. We specialize at trainingsites.io. We build out and do the work for you if you're not comfortable with all the technology stuff. So Teach Online is about teaching you how to do it. Trainingsites.io is about doing it for you if you don't want to learn about it. So agency, education, those are the two pieces that we have. So again, we're going to do this live call today. We do them every Wednesday, and I don't do any notifications really outbound to anyone. I just do them on Wednesday. And the reason is because for live webcasting, we're using a tool called Ecamm Live, which is for Mac only. And I'm just learning how to use it coming from Windows, recent Mac convert, and not 100% sure on how to use it properly yet. So until I get really comfortable with it, I won't be doing anything promoted at this point. So we'll keep the copies, of course, in the YouTube channel, and they are added to teachonline.io. So just kind of a sideline there as to what's happening and what's not happening with them. So again, we're just going to open this up. I'm going to take a look at my Teach Online IO and open up some of the pieces here just to see if we do have anyone who has come on to see what's going on. And I don't think there's anyone else watching yet, so that's fine. We'll do that and see what the scoop is. And again, I'm just going to open up the stream on another machine. I'm going to take a look at there we go, and turn the light off. So that's working. Good news. Okay. Yeah. So the I did have something put together today, just in case no one came on, or there wasn't any questions that came in ahead of time, and that seems to be the case. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll go over one of the projects that we have today, specifically about what kind of courses you should actually put together, or actually you might want to consider doing. Now, if you haven't seen any of the other videos that we do, the one thing that I'm a big fan of is creative plagiarization. Now, what do I mean by that? It's taking other people's content and either repurposing it or applying it to a different situation. And one of the things that I do on a regular basis is watch YouTube videos. Specifically, I have a number of people that I've subscribed to on their YouTube channels. And again, if you want to see more videos like this or see how we actually build out courses, make sure to subscribe to this channel. But what I do is I take what other content creators are doing and I say, well, how does this apply specifically to course creators? And we've been putting together all sorts of materials where we're creatively plagiarizing that content and applying it to this. So here's an example of one that I'll maybe cover for a little bit today. So you may be an expert, you may have some expertise or some knowledge or background or experience about a particular topic, and you're going, man, I want to have a course, or I want to sell a course. And if you look at anyone who talks about content creation online or course creation, the one thing that they'll talk about is make sure that you pick a niche. Now, I'm not a big fan of picking a niche. I'm more a fan of picking a hub, which is a whole other video. But if you buy into this whole idea of a niche or a particular topic that you're going to focus on, the whole thing is that at the end of the day, even though you have a topic as an expert from your perspective, you've always got to look at the perspective of the learner, the person that's asking the question that you're answering. And finding that right niche or the right way to phrase that niche is really, really, really important. And I've covered a number of ways to do that or kind of do your research. But I ran into one from a content creator tool called vidIQ, and they've got this guy who I really like who comes on and he talks about how to use vidIQ, which is a tool for YouTube content creators. And he was talking about getting your first 1,000 subscribers and saying, okay, how do I get my first 1,000 subscribers? What do I need to do? And the first part he talked about was getting 100 subscribers. And think of this almost like 100 customers or 100 members to your membership site, right? So he's talking about someone who's starting out. How do you make sure that the topic or the area that you're focusing on, that how are you going to get your subscribers? And how do you pick that out? So what I did, and I'll show you this in a second, is I actually created a mind map, and I'm a huge fan of mind maps for organizing my thoughts and also organizing courses. But I've taken what he was talking about, and what I'm going to do is we'll just take a look at it, see how I came up with it, and then think about how this applies to creating your first course and selling your first courses. So let me see if I can get this switched up here. What I'm going to do is, let's go, and I'm going to switch over. I think I can go to, let me see if that one comes up. There we go. Okay, so what this is another monitor that I have. It might be a little bit too small, so what I'll do is I'll just minimize those a little bit so that you see them. Let me just make sure I'm there. I'm going to get down and minimize some of these, and we'll talk about them in a little more detail through this. But that's kind of the big picture of the map that I put together, right? So we've got a map there, and let's see if we can zoom it in a little bit, make it a little bit bigger for you, and go from there. So where's the zoom on Xmind on my Mac? Zoom in. There we go. One more zoom in. Now, one thing that's weird with Macs is that I haven't really got a handle on is, when you use Windows for 50 years or close, the keystrokes or the shortcuts you get kind of muscle memory to them, right? And right now, I don't have any muscle memory to these. I'm missing muscle memory. It's disappeared, and I don't have all the keystrokes put together properly. So I think this is a Command plus and a Command minus for zoom in and zoom out. So I'm just trying to get these a little bit bigger for you. If I do have to turn to the side and do a mouse click as opposed to a keystroke on the keyboard, then my apologies. So here's kind of a big picture of the sections that they talked about on how to decide on a course or how to decide on your topics using vidIQ to get 1,000 subscribers. And these are the pieces that I took out of it. These are the pieces that kind of were important to look at from that video and how they play in. So the one thing that he talked about, which was kind of interesting right up front, is if we take a look at this go to popular YouTube channels, what he said, you know what, the first thing you should do is don't reinvent anything. He said, use the vidIQ tool or go and do the research and go to the popular YouTube competitors YouTube content creators of competitors. So take a look at your competitors. And this is exactly the same thing you have to do with courses. And again, the interesting thing is that you may be an expert in something, but you're going to have to be sure that what you're an expert in, other people want to learn about. If they're not interested in learning about it, they don't care at all about it, doesn't matter how good your content is, it's are you answering the questions that your potential customers have, and you're presenting it in a way that helps them learn or educate themselves, and more importantly, answer the questions they have when it comes to a course. So what's the outcome that you're providing people? And what he's talking about, he says, hey, go look at all of your competitors, subscribe to their YouTube channel, go and look and see what they're doing. And again, this makes perfect sense for courses, right? You're selling a course, see who else is selling similar courses in your particular area of expertise and subscribe to them. Make a list of them. Subscribe to their channels, go through their videos, notice things that they're doing, and kind of make a list of all these beforehand, before you actually decide. So let me open this one up and we'll just, I'll see if I can actually, again, I'm not using the keystrokes. There we go. So we'll take a look at these and see what we got. See what I just did there? I did the mouse scroll and I did the Windows mouse scroll, which is opposite of the Mac mouse scroll. So here's what we're doing. Here's some of the things that he talked about. Let me do Command plus here and see if that works. Hey, look at that. I used a keystroke short and got it actually working. So we'll move that down a little bit. So the first thing he says is, he says, which are getting decent views. Now he's talking about using the vidIQ tool to be able to check, but go look at your competitors and more importantly, which videos that they're doing on YouTube, and make a list of the ones that are getting decent views. So if you're getting 10 views or 12 views, or you're getting 12,000 or 14,000 views, it makes sense to pay attention to the ones that are getting the views, right? So make a listing or add shortcuts or bookmark the videos that are getting the decent views in your particular area from your competitors. The other thing is in the vidIQ tool, and I'll put the link of these below, of course, when you're looking for them, you can actually look at the historical views of any of these competitors' course video tutorials. Now, why do you want to do that? Sometimes you'll see that there's a big spike right up front when something's launched, but then no one is looking for it now. So maybe it has 12,000 views, but 11,999 views were in the first day after it was launched, and then no one's looking for it again. So you want to make sure that you find your competitors' videos not only that have decent views, but also have as consistent as possible, whether it was when they first launched or tomorrow or yesterday, pardon me, how many people are doing that. And one of the things that vidIQ provides is something called views per hour, or VPH. And again, this is covered in another course, but that's how many people are viewing this today, views per hour. So what is the actual history of those views? And then there's some checks here, right? It's like if there's a decent view, decent number, add them as a competitor in vidIQ, and then add a new video with similar content with your own voice. And this is that whole thing about creative plagiarization that I talk about for courses. He's talking about it for content on YouTube. And the difference is, and this is important, he's talking on YouTube content, he says add a new video with similar content in your own voice. Now, what does that mean? It takes the content that 2 experts, 4 experts, 8 experts share. That's okay, but it's putting your perspective as the teacher or as the expert on how you apply that consistent information that goes across with all of the teachers in that particular group. Now, you only want to do that if there's decent numbers. So go and check. And if you see that, they're getting decent numbers, but they have nothing to do, even though they have a course title or they seem to be in the same market as you, if no one's viewing them, don't waste your time. People are not interested. You're going to have to repackage stuff a little bit differently. And he also talks about, why do you want to do this? And here's the neat thing. You have to remember that YouTube, I believe now, is the second biggest search engine. And again, another key thing that's happening is playlists in YouTube. Think of multiple videos in a course is now showing up in the Google search. So we've got a thing here where we're doing all of this research on competitors who are in similar markets, similar expertise. But what happens is it's creating a link between you and them who already have rankings on YouTube or who already have expertise in creating content, who have already done a lot of the work and figured this out. You're in a position where you can piggyback off of them. So the thing that's interesting from the learner's perspective is they may do a search for one person, and then what happens after is they go, man, I'm into this, and YouTube and Google is going to recommend or provide links or connections to similar content, which hopefully can be you, on the topics that they have already proven are in demand. So that's one of the reasons you want to do that. So you're piggybacking. Anytime that there's you're doing that, you're going to get more recommendations in Google and in YouTube. And the thing is that you're getting new subscribers. Now, if you have two different kinds of subscribers, think about it. There's a cold subscriber or a warm subscriber. A cold subscriber is someone who doesn't know who you are, who doesn't really know your content, and they're just putting their name in because they think, okay, wow, this one is interesting. But they haven't raised their hand before, as far as you know, in that particular market. It's like a cold subscriber. Now, on the other hand, if you have someone that has subscribed to other channels that you've copied and researched, they're a warm subscriber. They've already raised their hand and they said, man, I'm really interested in this topic. I want to learn more about this. So that's one of the real key reasons, is that if you get a subscriber that comes being related to another course provider, you're far more likely to have someone who's interested and very, very, very likely to either take your course or want to find out more about you. So just think of that. And at the end of the day, I said which are getting decent views. If you can only find one other competitor, you're in trouble. If you can find 70 or 20 or 10, you have to find multiple of them. And again, if you find 70 or 70,000 of them, that's another whole reason for doing another video. You're in a point then when you're going, man, maybe I'm a little bit crowded here. I need to do something a little different. Even though it's a great topic, it's going to be very difficult to break into something that's that mature. So, take a look at more than one. That's kind of the real key thing that I want to talk about there. So here's an example. You got your course and you're going and you're saying, I got an idea for it. I'm an expert. All I'm saying is do your homework and make sure that you have some competitors that you can look at beforehand, before you even create a course, before you even create videos. Make sure that you've done this research first. And again, this is the most important part. If you can get this part done, you're going to be in a much better position to actually build stuff out. So what else was he talking about? Let's roll up a little bit here. He was talking about some things called end screens, collaborate with competitors, channel banner, retention graphs, playlists, key metrics, trust, and ask your audience during the video. So these are the things he was talking about for having or creating your getting more subscribers, those 1,000 subscribers, using end screens, collaborate with competitors, channel banners. And I'm not going to go into these directly here in terms of the details, other than there's two that are kind of important in my opinion. The first one is that don't be afraid, and I'll open this one up, and I think we've got a couple points here. I'll open this one up. There we go. Don't be afraid to collaborate with those competitors that you've put together. And what do I mean by that? I talked recently to a number of content creators and course creators, and one of the things that they mentioned to me was, even though they are creating content, they're doing on YouTube, they're creating courses, a lot of the referrals that they're getting for business or sales of courses or subscribers and visitors to their YouTube channel and to their courses, their course listings, is they're getting them from actually talking to people and being involved in other people's communities. So it's not just, publishing it and hoping it shows up in search. They're being involved in their competitors' communities and adding their 2 cents and sharing their expertise and their point of view in other people's communities or competitors' communities. Now remember, even though it's a competitor, most people who are mature content creators understand that it's not their way or the highway. There's always a different view of things. So don't be afraid to get involved in other people's competitors. And the example that he used was kind of interesting was, if A user knows B user and B user knows C user, A may not know C. And it's just a way to leverage the communities, your existing communities that are already there. And this is the same thing for list building that we've talked about in digital marketing. It's like, it's far easier to go into a group of people who have raised their hand, who have a common set of beliefs. They're all set up there. They're already pre-sold to some extent, to piggyback on them, to get them to be referred to you because you bring an interesting voice to it. So don't be afraid to collaborate with the other people's community. One of the things that I did starting out is I used to have a radio station, like a physical radio show, and it was called Small Business Heroes. And how I got started with it is that I would interview, and this was in early 2000s. I actually had a live webcast of a radio station using Real Player, if you heard that name, a blast from the past. One of the things that was interesting there is I interviewed other competitors about what they were doing and their experiences. So the reason I did that is because as soon as I interviewed someone who was a competitor and got their feedback or their story, what do people do when they've been interviewed? They immediately told all of their customers that they had been interviewed on my show. So if you interview people, if you talk to competitors and share experiences, they're going to share just the same way you are. They're going to share their community with you. And I actually did that again on the radio show. Small Business Heroes was what it was called, and I have hundreds of recordings from these interviews, which I mistakenly did not repurpose well. I still have them, and I probably should repurpose them, but these were all competitors. People that were in the same market than me, they were adding their voice to what we were both doing. So don't be afraid to collaborate with other people there. So let me open up another one here. And again, this is Xmind that I'm using. And here's the one, there's two that are kind of interesting that he was talking about. The things that you want to look at, and these come from vidIQ, the tool that they sell. What he was talking about is the key metrics that you want to look in these competitors and the ones that you're building yourself with your courses is you want to look at return viewers. And again, what is that? Those are people who are viewing, the learners who have an ongoing interest in your particular topic or niche. And I'll touch briefly on this whole thing with niches or topics. A niche, or I think of it as I talked about long time. I've been talking about hub and spoke marketing. I'm not a big fan of a niche. I think a niche is too focused. I think you should focus on a hub and the multiple spokes that support that hub. And again, we've done a number of videos on that one. I'll put the links below if you're not familiar with that. But if you're thinking about return viewers, think of it as hub and spoke. And if someone is interested in your hub, they will probably be interested in all of the spokes to that hub. And on the reverse of that, if they are interested in one of your spokes, they are probably interested in the hub or the big picture, that or the big answer that you're providing to. So these are the metrics that you want to look at. And again, some of these are available in vidIQ just to get an idea of how that works, how that fits in for you. Second thing that he talked about, again, this is in vidIQ, average views or viewer average. And again, so this is what you want to take a look and think about with the metrics. It's like, how many of these videos are they watching? Are they watching 10 out of 100 or 1 out of 50? How many are they watching? How many of the spokes are they interested in? So if you've got a hub that you're comfortable with, or what you may call a niche, how many of the little topics or parts of that niche are they actually getting interested in? Is it just the one, or is it multiple ones? And this will tell you if you have a big enough market that you should be spending time putting courses together on those. If the average number of views on the videos that this person has created, and again, this is in vidIQ, we're looking at other people's content. If those average number of views are not there, then you got to think about, man, is this really the kind of course that I need to put together, and is there value in that? And in their point of view, he's looking at this and he's saying, you know what, these two things are more important than subscribers. So if someone has, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers to their list, he says, take a look at the return viewers and how many of the videos are being watched on that channel. And those are more important than the number of subscribers, because it shows the focus or the intent of the people that are actually watching. So if you have someone with a high subscriber count and they have low return viewers or average views, you're much better off to look at or copy or copy is the wrong word, or be able to work with or collaborate with if they have people who have shown more intent by watching multiple copies of their videos. And again, I also talked about retention graphs as well. So this is, for me, it's kind of interesting. You're putting your courses together, you're thinking about it, and all of this stuff that he's talking about for content creators, for people who are just looking at creating content, this, in my opinion, is identical for someone who's creating courses. Like, if you want to sell a course, you really have to make sure that the course, before you do all the work, the course that you're doing is something that you can actually gain purchasers of. If you're not giving it away, if you're selling it, you've got to be in a position where, if I take the time to put all of this into the form of an online course, I capture my expertise, I structure it, I create videos, I add quizzes, I do certifications, I add extra materials, I promise someone a particular outcome or something that'll happen at the end of the course or taking all these lessons and my coaching. Is it something that people will end up paying and wanting to enroll in? And this is the kind of research that general YouTube content creators are doing, but it's exactly the same for course creators. The only real difference, in my opinion, is the course creator is going to focus more on multiple lessons that are in an outcome. And also, it's going to be more so educational than it will in terms of entertaining. There's still some entertaining to do if you're going to be teaching online, but stories is a great example of how to entertain well, educate. And again, these are things that you've got to kind of think about beforehand and get engaged in beforehand. So I'm just going to take a look over here on one of my other monitors and see how long I've been blabbering here. Well, not blabbering, but just talking off the cuff. And again, if you have any questions, add them in the comment below. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that. And there's lots more of these videos put together. And again, this is interesting for me personally because these sessions that I'm doing are not structured courses, and they're not meant to be structured courses. These are observations that I'm making, and I'm just sharing my experiences about creating and selling courses for myself and also for the customers that we work with. And these are things that we tell people to do right off the bat. We have a Campus Builders Map, or the Campus Mastery course, and doing the research up front is really, really important. This little map, the stuff that we're covered here, is just something that I took from someone who is a content creator coach, and how they use particular tools in YouTube and how we can apply them to doing it just if we're working on course creation. Kind of interesting too here, if you notice, we just switched the screen back. I'm actually getting used to using some of the tools that we have with Ecamm Live to be able to do this, to go back and forth to provide content in a little bit different way. These are all courses too, right? This is stuff that can be shared in your membership site and broken into or repurposed for marketing your courses. Again, room for another content area there. And this is just like hub and spoke. When you think of it, hub and spoke, right? It's like, okay, great. I want to teach people how to, create online courses, create their first online course. And you think, well, that's a particular niche, but there's a million topics that relate to that you have to learn about. One of them might be the technology. How do I do live webcasts, and how do I make sure that I can do these, put these screens together and have them work so people can see that. There we go. So, how do I create the content? How do I use the technology? Which technology do I use? How do you market them? How do you actually organize your courses? All spokes on a hub of selling courses online or creating courses online. How do you market them? How do you build a site? How do you do a membership site? What kind of pricing should you use? All related to one central hub, not a niche, one hub, spokes to a hub. If you have questions about that, put them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to copy them in another session. So what do we got here? I think we're talking 30 minutes. There's no questions. So what I'm going to do is I will end this one now, and I'll make a couple edits at the end and the beginning, just so that we put some in and go from there. So I want to thank you if you did join me. It's James from teachonline.io, where we teach you how to start, build, and grow your own membership site and courses, and to be able to sell those courses online. So do it yourself, teachonline.io, done for you, trainingsites.io. Two sides of the same coin. So thanks again. Take care. Expect the best. We'll be back again next Wednesday for another open classroom. End.